Hello and welcome. My name is Céline, and if you're new here, I'm basically your next door knitty friend. So I hope you're doing great. I hope you're gonna have a nice relaxing break watching this video. Of course, I'd love to know what project you'll be working on while we spend some time together today. I have the day off from my regular job, so I'm going to solely focus on all the knitty projects that I'm currently working on. I need to shoot some photos, give some feedback for a test knit a little bit, make a little progress on some grading for a future pattern. I'm just going to film everything I do and see what comes out of this video. First and foremost, the most important thing, breakfast. Right, so I've set up a little bit of a new working station for the purpose of this video, just because this is the corner of the flat that gets the most sunlight. This is usually my dining table, which stands right over there. I just pulled it here in this very inconvenient position. It's completely in the way, but that's okay because I'm alone in the house until tonight. I made myself a to-do list of all the tasks that I need to complete. I love a good to-do list. It's so satisfying to check everything off, and then at the end of the day, it makes me feel super productive because it's a visual representation of all the things that I've completed. So I love a good to-do list. A couple of videos ago, I showed you guys the progress that I've been making on my flow knit skirt by Moonchain. Amanda, the designer, asked me if I could test knit this, and I knew off the get-go that I wouldn't have had enough time to make it by the deadline, so she just gave me free reins. She said just still knit it when you can. Although it's already out, I still want to contribute to this project because she did ask me to begin with, so I'll go through the pattern one more time to make sure I've not missed out on anything that I can give feedback on. It's already been tested by other people anyway, so I really don't expect to find anything, but it's always good to be thorough. When I test knit patterns, I like to print them out or put them on my iPad so that I can scribble and, make notes all over them. I'll make note of any spelling mistakes or any section that I feel could maybe be explained a little bit better. This specific pattern is made to measure, so there aren't many stitch counts to follow. In a pattern that does have a lot of stitch counts, I would check constantly to ensure that all the numbers for my size are correct. As a designer myself, I love when test knitters suggest ways or things that I could add to my pattern to make things easier to understand. To me, the most important thing is to get feedback on fit issues, especially for the sizes that I've graded and not the one that I have sample knitted. It's quite hard to translate the same look of a sweater across the different sizes, so that's what test knitting is essential to, seeing if that translation comes across successfully. Any sort of feedback is gold for a designer. That's what the testing process is for. Even if you feel silly asking the designer a question or being confused about some sort of instruction, let the designer know, because most likely it's not a you thing, it's an instruction thing, and there's something that can be done to make something clear or make more sense. For me, it was such a formative process being in a lot of test knits before I headed into designing myself. That's a big tip I give anyone that wants to get into designing, is doing a lot of test knits. First of all, that will get you accustomed to the process of putting out a pattern. It is really special that people would want to test knit your design and put all that time and effort in it, so I think it just makes you appreciate everything even more when you've been a test knitter yourself. But essentially, test knitting is such a crucial part to releasing a pattern. I also want to be a good test knitter. Obviously with this one, I didn't make it into the deadline, but it's good to be upfront with the designer and just let them know off the get-go. They can just find another test knitter so they can gather all the feedback that they require. But yes, I'm gonna go through this pattern again and see if I've missed anything so far. As a new knitting designer, I'm always looking for new stitches and new techniques to include in my patterns. I feel like my radar is really switched on for that. I really seek new knowledge all the time, so maybe I shouldn't just wait for the knowledge to come to me. I should go look for the knowledge. So it's just the perfect occasion to have a little study session on the Knitting Circle, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. The Knitting Circle is your online resource for all things knitting. It offers classes and video tutorials and patterns covering knitting basics, core skills and advanced techniques, and so much more. What I've been focusing on today, looking at the Knitting Circle, are all the resources surrounding finishing touches. I definitely get way too excited when I know I'm about to finish a project that I really rush through the bind off and just the finishing touches. That's such a missed opportunity. I really want to take my time to explore new options and eventually adapt those to include them to my designs, and just in general provide a well-rounded piece that has so many nice details that makes it look nice and tailored. I've been loving Mary Beth Temple's videos. She's got me thinking how I can include a scalloped edging in a future design. To be fair, I really like the ruffled edging. That's probably my favorite one. And I've been loving how friendly and talented the instructors are. I've been able to connect with fellow knitters to share ideas, but most importantly to ask questions. I'm really interested in watching the tartan surface chains. That looks like an embellishment technique, which I could really learn some embellishing techniques. Rest assured, I'll keep on exploring, but if any of you knitty friends are interested in joining the platform, the first 1,000 of you to click the link in my description box will get 1 full year premium membership to the Knitting Circle for only $1.49. And that is valid for new members only. I need to update my Instagram. I definitely pour majority of my focus and efforts into my YouTube channel, which means that other social medias can fall behind. And I realized that I've neglected Instagram and I've not posted on it in a while, so I wanted to snap some photos for that today. I've also got this crochet granny square headband that I've made for a partnership, and I wanted to create the content for that and submit it so that that can get ticked off the list. I'm not sure how I'm going to show you this because I take photos and film my videos with my phone. So I'm not sure how I'm going to film myself taking the photos because it's done from the same device. So maybe I'll just set up, film it, and then take the photos as I'm not filming, because that's the only way I can do it. Most of my Instagram photos I take in this little corner just in front of my sofa on top of my yarn storage, because it's got so much sunlight, which is the most important ingredient for nice photos. Hi, so this is how I do it. I get my phone and then I snap. Pretty self-explanatory. And now I'm gonna put it on to take some try-on photos. First way this can be worn is like so. I'm gonna try and pull out some bits at the front, see what comes out. Is that better? Is that okay? I think it's fine. I have grabbed my little camera remote, which is connected to my phone via Bluetooth. I'll be taking these photos with the back camera just because that gives me the highest quality. And yeah, I'll be triggering them with the little remote. So I'll be pressing on the button while I pose and show the headband in all its angles. And let me show you how I set up for that. So first things first, I'm going to pop a chair on top of the sofa here. I know that's kind of embarrassing. And then I'll reach over to my tripods. Now, I have a little bit of a problem here. This tripod right here only holds my phone horizontally, which is a good format for YouTube, but as far as I'm aware, there's no way to tilt the phone holder so that it can hold it vertically, if that makes sense. I could probably use the spider legs to attach it somewhere horizontally, but that's too much hustle. I've got this tripod, which does have a tilting phone holder, but one leg is broken. But I'm gonna try and stand this up. Okay, it's holding on to dear life, but it should stay. And then I've just popped, my makeup mirror behind it, because once I put my phone on the tripod, I won't be able to see if I'm in shot. So this is basically my viewfinder. I have my little remote, so let's get started. You will not believe how many photos I just took. 422. In my defense, my approach is, if I take 422 photos, surely there's at least a couple that are gonna be okay. I'm just going to delete them once I've selected the ones that I like, but this is usually the best method where I can guarantee that at least some of the content is usable. That's what works for me. It's extremely time consuming though, but I'm becoming faster, so you know, it's all a balance. I've gone through the photos and selected a couple of my favorites, and then I airdropped them to my iPad. So now let's do some editing. So first things first, there is a box in the corner, so I'll be cropping this photo. I then like to increase the warmth of my photos. I love a good pink tint. I don't know anything about editing photos, by the way. I just do what I think looks a little bit better. Potentially add some definition with an increased black point. I am a big fan of grain, so I'm going to open this photo into Lightroom. How do I add a photo? There we go. Go into effects and grain. I'm gonna go up to 35 for this one. You see, it adds this texture that also helps even out the skin tone. I don't know, just gives it some nice character. Maybe I'll knock it down to 30. Cute. I reckon she's done. And now I'll just do the same for the rest of the photos. We have our final edited photos. So this one is the try on and then flat lays to show off the nice little stitch and all the colors. I've airdropped them to my laptop and I'm going to send them to the partner to see if they approve, and then hopefully I can post soon.
Silk lining, delicate paper, tangerine rind. Tulip petals on the dresser all come to mind. Soft blonde pink brush and shoulders, page 55. You trace letters over the pictures of the climbing vine. I'm in a field of you're making. I can see a moonflower awaken somewhere way past taken.
Okay, I've been grading for about an hour now. This is definitely the part that I enjoy the least because it's so technical and not as creative as the rest. The problem with grading is that it can get so confusing because I'm working with 9 sizes all at once, so it's just a lot of numbers. I know a lot of designers and graders use Excel, but first of all, I don't know how to use it. I could just learn how to use Excel off of YouTube tutorials, but there's just something reassuring about going through every single number manually for me. It definitely feels more rewarding this way. Once I complete everything, I just feel like I've built a pyramid or something. I actually wanted to talk you through the overarching concept of grading because a lot of people ask me how it works. So first things first, you want to knit a sample or a swatch to figure out the gauge of your piece. So in my case, we have 25 stitches over 34 rows in 10 centimeters or 4-inch squares. I do my stitch gauge and I divide it by 10, which is 2.5, and that'll be the number of stitches in 1 centimeter. And then you also want to figure out the width of one stitch. So you just invert that. You do 10 divided by 25. One stitch measures 0.4 centimeters. And so these two numbers are really helpful in figuring out the different sizes. What you want to work with are standardized size charts. So I just pulled one up on Google Images. You can see that it has all the different standardized measurements for the different body parts. So top of the arm, elbow, wrists, thigh, etc., etc. You just want to use these numbers against your findings from earlier to figure out how many stitches need to be worked for the different sizes. So I'll give you an example. My chest circumference is 86 centimeters. Let's say that I want to knit a sweater that has 0 positive ease, so also has a bust circumference of 86 centimeters. Let's see how many stitches that is in my gauge. I want 86 centimeters for the bust circumference of my garment. What I'll have to do is just multiply 86 times 2.5, which will be my stitch count for the bust circumference. You can use these two numbers in so many different occasions. For example, the 0.4 would be really useful to figure out how many pattern repeats you need to include for the different sizes if you're working with a patterned stitch. So say you'd like to grade an all-over lace sweater, and the pattern repeat is of 12 stitches. For the purpose of this explanation, we'll still say that our sweater needs to have 0 centimeters of ease. So the bust circumference of the garment will match exactly with my bust circumference, which is 86 centimeters. We said that one stitch measures 0.4 centimeters. So what's the length of one pattern repeat? It's 12 times 0.4. So that's the length of one pattern repeat. So how many pattern repeats can we fit in the bust circumference? Just do 86 divided by 4.8, which comes to 17.9. We're going to round it up to 18. So I can have 18 pattern repeats for my bust circumference, which if we multiply that by 12, which is the stitches in one pattern repeat, we'll find out that there will be 216 stitches for the bust, which you can see matches with the previous number that we found. This came to be 215 just because we rounded this 17.9 up, but the maths. So yeah, I hope that gave you a little bit of insight as to what grading can look like. Of course, that was not a grading lesson whatsoever. It was just to show you the vibe of what the math is. There are many grading courses that people take. Tech editors also learn how to grade and they get, certification for that. So it's way deeper than that, of course. This was just a very, very brief and light representation of what it can be. To put it simply, all these mathematical mechanics are applied to the standardized size charts. It's all about plugging those calculations that you obtained with your gauge to those standardized sizes. My sweet dad is an engineer, so he uses Excel all the time. And one time I was grading a pattern when I was back home in Italy, and he witnessed my struggle. He saw the pain of grading. He actually suggested that one day we should sit down and kind of make this a little bit easier for me. So I've not done that yet because I'd like to be back home with him, in person, kind of figure this out together. I feel like it'd be too chaotic for my brain to handle over FaceTime or something. It would actually be so cute if my dad contributed to my patterns in that way. I feel like I owe a lot to my parents in general. They deserve the recognition because if I'm doing what I'm doing and if I'm the way I am, it's thanks to my parents for being so trusting and giving me so much freedom to explore my passions. So I'd love to pay homage to that, including my dad in the process in some way. I don't know. We'll see. Sari Nordland actually has a whole YouTube series on writing knitting patterns, and one episode is entirely dedicated to grading. So I'll link that below for you so you can check it out. It's a really good resource to have. And yeah, I've now walked to the living room, ready for the next task. Oh my gosh, also, the Met Gala was last night. I reckon we should react to some of the outfits because I've not seen anything yet. I'm by no means a fashion expert, so please don't expect anything from me. I have no idea what sort of contribution I could make to this field. But yes, the Met Gala 2025 theme was super fine tailoring black style. First one I see is Queen Rihanna. She's pregnant with her third child. That's super exciting. Do I like the outfit? There are quite a lot of things going on in this outfit. There's a bow at the back as well. I really love the jewelry that A$AP Rocky is wearing. Emma Chamberlain. Ooh, okay. I love the take on the theme. Kind of reimagining and reinventing the silhouette. I really like that. I really like the glasses too, and I think it pairs really well with her newer sort of rock hairstyle. Zendaya. Straight out of a magazine. She's a vision. Oh, I love this photo. You can't see her eyes. It's like so iconic. And I love the lip where they've outlined it with a darker color and then it's lighter in the center. Anna Wintour. Love the heart brooch that she has on her blazer. It reminds me of an anime I used to watch when I was younger. Was it like Pretty Cure? The embroidery on her dress is gorgeous. I bet it's hand embroidered, which is insanity. It's so beautiful. I would have given her a little cream nail polish. Sabrina Carpenter. It's such a gorgeous rich brown. I'm biased because I love chocolate brown. It's one of my favorite colors. I feel like it's such an underrated color in fashion. The silhouette is similar to what she wears on tour, which stays true to her brand. Jen Ortega. Oh my gosh. I love the makeup. I love the thin eyebrows. Are those? I just zoomed in on her dress. She is covered in metallic tape measures. That's so good. See, she is a real queen because she's not wearing a blazer like every single other person I've seen so far. That obviously seems like the most obvious approach, but she just took the theme, put her own spin on it, and it's so cool because you wouldn't know how it's on theme until you zoom in. Okay, well, a lot of celebrities attended last night's Met Gala. I can't comment on every single one, but Jenna Ortega was for sure my favorite. I love her and her outfit was insane. Let me know if you had a favorite at the Met Gala. I wonder if they've ever done a knitted theme. I don't think so, but you best believe the day that happens, I'll be making a whole entire video about it. Little try on of my flow knit skirt to show you where I'm at. This is her. Obviously it's all over lace, so it's kind of see-through, so I'm just trying it now with some black shorts underneath, but I could do with a little bit more coverage on the thighs, so maybe I could try longer biker shorts next time. Looking at it now, I'm wondering if the slit starts too low. Maybe once I'm done knitting it, I could consider steeking it open a little bit more. I'm not sure. I'll decide later on. I ended up opting for the maxi skirt look. I was really on the fence whether or not I should just keep it sort of mid-thigh or just carry on. So I decided to go long. I've divided the work to create the split, but I'm running out of yarn. I've only got this left, so I need to make an order on Wool Warehouse to order some more. I just need to try and estimate how many skeins I'd need for this. I'm pretty sure this whole thing is 7 skeins, so I'm probably gonna go for like 4 or 5 at least. On the topic of ordering things online, I want to start thinking about and I want to start looking into new camera gear for my videos. I shoot everything. I take photos on my iPhone 12 Pro and I film my videos in 4K. I've had my phone for a couple years, so I'm not sure what number iPhone we've got to, but all of the latest ones have the ability to film in 4K, which is extremely high resolution. I'm not sure what the default filming setup is on an iPhone, but a lot of my friends don't know that they're actually not filming their videos in 4K. When you open up your camera on the top right, you'll see pop up a couple of letters and numbers. So you might have HD or 4K and the numbers 30 or 60. Whatever is selected will be the resolution of the video that you're about to shoot. And all you have to do is tap that. If you have HD, just tap on the HD and it'll switch to 4K. I also record 60 frames per second, not 30, so I tap that as well. I have changed those numbers directly in my settings to make those my default, because if your default is HD 30 frames per second and then you tap on it to switch it to 4K, if you lock your phone back up and then you open the camera again after just a couple seconds, I believe, it will most likely switch you back to your default settings, so to HD and 30 frames per second. So what I did is I just went directly into my settings and set 4K 60 frames per second, my default resolution. Just keep in mind that this resolution is so heavy. A video of 10 minutes, I'm gonna say is like 4 to 5 gigabytes, something like that. So yeah, it's super, super heavy. So keep that in mind when it comes to storage and all of that. And while the resolution I get on my iPhone is absolutely insane, like it's crazy that we can film like this on a phone. I'm recording on my phone now. Isn't this insane resolution? There is something about the camera lens on the iPhone that's not comparable to those fancy cameras, right? I don't know what it is because I don't know anything about photography and videography, so I can't really explain the technical sides of things. I can only tell there's a visual difference. It's incredible because I was able to start my YouTube channel without buying any new gear. I could just do it with my phone that I already had. But now it's been over a year that I've been making videos. It has come to a point where I envision certain shots and storylines and I can't really execute them the way I'm imagining them just with my phone. It's got to do with depth and lenses and stuff, I don't know. But I can definitely see the difference in, say, an iPhone 4K video and something that's shot on 4K but on a nice camera. So I'd like a camera. I still want to use my phone, especially when I'm vlogging out and about. I don't want to be taking like a huge camera with me, but there are so many things I'd like to give a little bit more of a cinematic look to. That'd be amazing. And I just would love the process so much, and it would really satisfy my, creative vision sometimes. The problem is that I don't know anything about cameras, so I don't know which one to get. For now, I'm thinking about the Sony Alpha ZV-E10. However, my filmmaker friend told me that APS might not be what I want to go for. I don't know why. I would then want some sort of lens for it. Maybe the Sony 18 135mm. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going into this completely blind. One thing I do know is that I want the Rode VideoMic Pro Professional on-camera shotgun microphone. I love this crisp audio that you can sort of only get if I hold this microphone so close to my face. I can clip it to my body, but as you can hear, it's not as crisp, right? I want it crisp like this. And I feel like this video mic shotgun thingy will give me that. Obviously, this has to be a really well thought out decision because it's an investment. And of course, all the work that I'm putting into my small knitting business, just making the videos and the knitting patterns, that all serves to reinvest the resources into gear and other things that can help improve the experience for me to make the video and for you watching it. So it's actually a very important and exciting step that I can't wait to just bite the bullet and do it. If any of you know more about filming and stuff, I would be so appreciative of any tips in the comments. Just what do you think I should do and what do you think I should get? Because I really want to take this step. I just don't know what to do. Anyways, I'm back on my front camera, so pardon the low quality, but I just need to make some tea because I've been speaking for so long, my throat hurts. Also, this reminded me, do you see how I have shorter bits on my hair? I cut those myself. Hi, I'm about to cut my fringe. I don't want it to be super thick. I want it to be just a couple of strands. If any hairdressers are watching, I'm so sorry. Okay, hair is wet. So I'm gonna take off. That was sudden. These scissors are not cutting. I honestly don't know where to go from here. This is what it's looking like. It's not even. Oh goodness gracious. This is so cringe. But this is the fun thing about being a girly. And life is really not that deep. What am I doing? You know how sometimes they'll like twist the bang? I'm not gonna do that because I don't get the physics. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into random chunks and slightly cut a few strands. I've seen my hairdresser do this once. That's the best I can do, I'm going to blow dry the rest of my hair and then I'll be right back to show you the finished situation. Verdict. Oh dear. Why is it so poofy. So I'll most probably just only ever wear it on the side like this because I can't be bothered, which that's fine. Even if I did it for this, I'm happy. Oh, it's in my face. I hate that. I look like my mum with a fringe. But anyways, for now, I'll just keep it like this, which is the most comfortable. I've got hair all over my face. Thanks for coming along on this fringe cutting journey. Well, hello there. It's actually the next day. I got quite immersed in my tasks last night and they got quite repetitive, so I just didn't end the video. So here I am. I'm about to head to work. I'm feeling nice and energized from yesterday's productivity. I guess another little question I have for you guys today is, what sort of knitter are you? How would you describe yourself? Tell me about whether or not you're a monogamous knitter, or do you knit English style or flick or Portuguese knitting or continental, whatever. Tell me, how you like to knit. I'd love to know your knitting personalities. I can't wait to read your comments, but thank you so much for sticking till the end of this video. I really appreciate the company. I'll leave my Instagram on screen in case you'd like to follow my creations more in real time and hang out on there. I will say bye for now, and I hope to see you in the next video.